He just came in there from 3 car lengths behind Norris.
I'm sorry, that voice crack killed me. I'm sorry. Oh no.
Yo, my name is Max,
Hey guys, it is Pekos.
Yo, and I'm Alpay.
and you're listening to the Racing or Ping Pong-Podcast. Hey guys, it's Max here, and welcome to the second episode of the Racing or Ping Pong-Podcast. There wasn't a podcast in Russia, sorry about that, but now we are back in Japan, a country which is absolutely crazy about Formula 1, and the race was crazy too. Also, the times where the race was, then qualifying was cancelled, but you will listen to the stuff in the upcoming minutes. We will discuss the race, what happened, then we will also talk a bit about Formula E, about regulation changes for 2021, and about Nico Hülkenberg, Sebastian Vettel, and the other guys in the F1 grid a bit more in detail. We also have a guest. But yeah, now I think it's time for the quick race overview. What happened in the race? Here is the race overview for your Japanese Grand Prix. A searing start from Valtteri Bottas from third on the grid was the key to the Finn taking victory at the Japanese Grand Prix, his first win since Azerbaijan in April, as Mercedes were crowned Constructors' Champions for a record-matching sixth time. Bottas finishing ahead of Sebastian Vettel and Mercedes teammate Lewis Hamilton. He jumped pole side of Vettel off the start to lead the German into turn 1 at Suzuka, before going to control the race at the front, managing a two-stop strategy to perfection to bring home the sixth victory of his career. Behind a titanic battle between Hamilton and Vettel for second place in the final laps of the race saw Vettel eventually hold off his rival, crossing the line just 0.4 seconds ahead. A first lap carnage between Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen saw Verstappen suffer race-ending damage, the Dutchman eventually pulling out of the Grand Prix on lap 40, while a fine recovery drive from Leclerc saw the Monegasque finish 6th, although a post-race penalty for the Verstappen clash and for driving with a damaged front wing afterwards would eventually drop him to 7. The remaining Red Bull of Alex Albon came home before, while a brilliant race from Carlos Sainz saw the McLaren driver finishing 5th. Daniel Ricciardo was a bit upset with his P16 in qualifying, but the Kenny Australian had converted that to 7th by the race end, but then became 6th after Leclerc's penalties. Toro Rosso's Pierre Gasly, the racing point of Sergio Perez, who ended this race in the barriers but still was classified P9, and the second runner of Nico Hülkenberg completed the top 10. So much action in this race, so action-packed, so thrilling, but first of all let's talk about Formula E, the upcoming season, how we find it, then about Mercedes Constructors World Championship title, and then we come into the race. So everything is interesting, enjoy listening, wherever you are, and have fun. Welcome then to the Japanese Grand Prix podcast. I'm here with Pekos and also my guest today, F1 2019 News from Instagram. You can say hello.
Hey guys.
Hey lads.
And yeah, today we are going to talk about the Japanese Grand Prix and what a race it was. It was action-packed until the end. I personally have to say I didn't watch it. I was sleeping all the time. Then I just woke up and was seeing like, oh, Mercedes won too, and I was going to sleep again. So yeah, that was it for me. General for European fans, the Japanese Grand Prix is always like the worst thing in the year, with like watching the race at 7 a.m. and then there was the special occasion with the qualifying at 2 p.m. First question: did you watch the race that early? Or for our guest is like also a bit different as he is living in the USA.
Yeah, I watched the race and I could also watch the qualifying as it was at 8 o'clock and at midnight. So yeah, I could watch it and give all my opinions about it.
Yeah, since Max and I live in the same time zone, I think sleeping was like the main priority for both of us.
Exactly. So, as you already see, we are well prepared. Yes, we are. But before we come into the Japanese Grand Prix, we have other things to talk about. First of all, Formula E starts in I think a month, and today was also the pre-season testing. Do you watch Formula E? Are you interested in the series? What do you think about the new season? Also, the drivers, because I think that Formula E is the place where F1 drivers go after their career. For example, Brendan Hartley or Pascal Wehrlein, or also Felipe Massa, who's giving huge support for the series. What's your opinion on Formula E in general?
I like to watch Formula E occasionally. I don't watch it every race, but when I have time, I watch it because I like the racing. It's very close. It's very spectacular on these street circuits. And I don't think it's a bad thing that all the retiring F1 drivers go to the Formula E, because they bring the talent, and it makes Formula E a little bit better if they have good drivers. And
Yeah, it's really action-packed, as something we actually experienced for, I think, for me at least, the first time ever, where practice, qualifying, and the race is actually on one day in a nice chronological order, since we don't have that on YouTube apparently. But beside the point, of course, as you guys already said, Formula E, my dad likes to call it the scrapyard of Formula One. Because a lot of retired or non-successive drivers in the in Formula One, they usually went there and actually made something really nice of it, if I see it like that. So
Yeah.
whenever I have time, as F1 news said, I like to watch the race, just chill a bit with that. Doesn't take too
Yeah.
long.
Yeah. Also, as it was said, I'm really a fan of tight racing. That's also a reason why I really like to watch Formula 2, for example, because it's the same cars are just on the same track, same engines, everything is equal. It's tight as if you can say that. And yeah, also Formula E is very tight. You have the fan boost, you have the attack mode, things which are new. In the motorsport world, things which are interesting. And although the first sound which the Formula E cars which they make for this season doesn't sound really good, but I think we are getting used to that. At the beginning, where the Halo came into F1, everybody was hating it, but in the end, everybody says it's okay and it's fine. Which brings us to Formula 1 2, Mercedes. Constructors World Champions for the 6th time in a row. I think it's getting a bit boring, but if you look back a bit, then you have the times where Ferrari was dominating with Michael Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello. So I think these times were also over after some years. So I think also for Mercedes, it's kind of getting into an end. And Ferrari also, for example, last year they were very, very close at the beginning of the season. So I think next year could be really deciding for the future how Ferrari and Mercedes will continue. What is your opinion? Is it deserved? I think it's fully deserved, because nobody could stop them, and they were the only team who nearly made no faults. Of course, Germany was a bit standing out with Bottas crashing out, and then Hamilton's pit stop fail and completely messed it up. But in general, I think it's deserved. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's well deserved. They worked hard for it all the 6 years now. They deserved it, but I think it's time now that they stop this winning streak, and that Ferrari, Red Bull, or even a midfield team comes up and fights against them. I don't know if that's going to happen without any regulation changes in 2020, but hopefully in 2021, when the huge regulation changes come in, this Mercedes dominance will be stopped.
Yeah, obviously, as you said, F1 News, the work for all these 6 seasons since the V6 era is all just paid off by hard work back in the factory in the UK. So yes, of course, it's very well deserved. To be honest, it does get a bit boring every now and then, because what was it they had again? 6 1-2s in the beginning of the season?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
pretty extreme related to Williams' 3 1-2s in the beginning. So overall, it started a bit boring, but as you saw, the most progress came within a couple race weeks, and Ferrari and Red Bull came really close to them, as you saw, for instance, in Germany, where just the pure superiority came back, also with a bit bad luck every now and then, but that's just the thing. It's part of the sport. So
you have to say the last 3 years, 19, 18, and 17, they were more exciting than like 14 and 15, where only Mercedes won races. So it got a little bit better 16, 17, 18, and 19 with Hamilton, Rosberg, and Mercedes, Ferrari. It got a little bit better, you have to say that.
yeah, and of course a couple Red Bulls. Yeah,
Yeah.
they just every now and then they just popped out. In 2014 Canada, I think that was a really, really good one from Ricciardo. It was. That was just
Yeah.
beautiful to see.
Yeah. So yeah, to relate to that, I think Red Bull, they have a strong season, but I have the feeling it's not that strong as the previous seasons, because also they have only one winning driver. Although I think that Alex Albon has the potential to win, but I think probably we will see in Mexico, where Red Bull is very strong, as we all know. To the whole past years. It's getting a bit better with Mercedes and Ferrari. But 2016 was also interesting too, because it was not like two teams fighting against each others, but it was two drivers from the same team battling until the last race of the season. So from the entertainment factor and the fight between Mercedes and Ferrari, it's getting better and better from year to year. Mercedes, Ferrari, now we come to the Japanese Grand Prix. As we already know, Pekos and we have watched it due to sleeping was priority, and also in Germany there are holidays at the moment for some people, so was rather sleeping than watching, because in the end I can watch the highlights, which I also did. But for you, for news who watched the entire race, was it entertaining for you? How do you feel about the race? Were you sitting there and thinking, oh, that's a quite nice one to watch, or how was it?
It was nice to watch. Of course, Leclerc and Verstappen falling back was a big factor in making the race more interesting, even though Verstappen retired afterwards. But Leclerc cutting through the midfield was pretty satisfying to watch. He just made the race a whole lot better. The first, 4 laps or so, they were pretty intense. Afterwards, it was a little bit settled down, and then at the end, Vettel and Hamilton were fighting again. That was exciting as well.
Yeah, obviously the start was really hectic. There were, if you saw the onboards, which I've just been looking today actually, like most onboards, there was a lot of contact. The most hectic one was probably Verstappen and Leclerc, which I found really annoying as a Verstappen fan myself. But yeah, it's a racing incident. Leclerc had understeer. Max was on the outside. You can't really do much. Max couldn't go anywhere. So yeah, damage. Verstappen retiring in the first laps. Leclerc actually having his left mirror breaking off, which was really weird to see.
He
But
drove
since
one-handed
that- yeah.
through one PDR. That was crazy.
That was also crazy. But a lot of nice overtakes, especially in the midfield. A lot of contact, nice overtakes.
Leclerc going wide in the hairpin and then coming back the next two right-handers and then making dive bomb into Spoon. That was sweet.
Yeah, it was really good. On to the next part, I think.
Yep. That was the opinion on the race. You've heard a bit what happened in the race in general. But before the race, there was qualifying, and it wasn't on Saturday. It was a couple of hours before. I think 5 or 4 hours before the race. Yeah, there was qualifying. It was delayed due to the typhoon. There were also some rumors that they choose the grid. From the standings or from the end result in FP2, or but in general, they then decided to do the qualifying. Was it a good decision to let qualifying running, or should they have chosen the FP2 end result as the start grid for the race?
Well, the weather was very nice in qualifying. The sun was shining, so I think it was the best decision they could do. Otherwise, we would miss this qualifying session under good conditions, and just taking the FP2 results wouldn't be like a very accurate starting grid. It was a good decision to make qualifying.
Yeah, obviously FP1 and FP2 went on, but since the typhoon hit Suzuka, I think it was, Suzuka, the city, qualifying couldn't go, obviously. But I think that it's nice how they kind of ruined our sleep schedules and still made qualifying and FP3 go, which is a really important part of the sport. So instead of skipping it, just improvise. So I think it's really good choice to just let everything happen.
As well. I agree with Pekos. It was a good decision. Although it ruined our sleeping plan completely. I think also taking the results from FP2 would be a bit unfair, because in FP2 nobody's going for quali laps. So just about getting some data. So I think that would be not the best decision. I think running and qualifying as the track was also drivable was the best idea. On the same day as qualifying, it is very, very special. There was the race a couple of hours later. As Pekos mentioned before, the start was really, really hectic. First of all, a quick question: who was the winner of the start for you, and who was the loser of the start? For me personally, of course, Max Verstappen, who couldn't do nothing at all because Leclerc pushed him off, spun him around. So for me, he was the loser of the start, and the winner, 200% Nico Hülkenberg. I mean, what a start it was from the guy in the Renault. I still can't understand why he hasn't announced seat for 2020, because this start once again showed the potential and the skill he has. And would he have been in a top car for the last years, I think he would also have the potential to become world champion, because that start was amazing. But winner and loser of the start for you guys. Who was it?
Loser were, of course, Leclerc and Verstappen, who both fell back quite a bit. Winners of, yes, I agree with you, Nico Hülkenberg, but also Valtteri Bottas, who had a great start, who overtook both Ferraris into turn 1 and then led the way until the finish line, as you can say. So Hülkenberg and Bottas were the main winners.
Yeah, as you guys said, I agree. Hülkenberg, his start was incredible. So, as Max already said, I am, to be honest, kind of confused how Hülkenberg doesn't have a seat next year. But the only thing I know is that Prost said that he was too negative, but that's besides the point. Best start, I'm just thinking about either Bottas or Hülkenberg.
Yeah, of course. Bottas' reaction times are always very quick. You might think that he's doing a jump start, but the person who did a jump start then was Sebastian Vettel. He didn't get penalized because he was not going completely over the sensor, which is showing the stewards, it was a jump start or not. He was just correcting his car. I think that this isn't a penalty. It's clear. Or is there any other opinion from you guys?
I can see why the racing stewards didn't give him a penalty, because of the sensor he didn't trigger. But I think he deserves a penalty, because he let the clutch go and drove for 10 centimeters before lights went out, and that was he was trying to hit the point when the lights went out, and they didn't. So he had like an unfair advantage if the lights would be going out. It was a jump start, even though he didn't leave his box. And maybe like a, I don't know, at least a 10-second penalty or so would be okay, or a 5-second penalty. Of course, it wasn't that such a big jump start as Raikkonen's in Russia, where he left his starting grid box by almost 2 car lengths. That was deserved. It's a controversial topic about Vettel's jump start, but I think he deserves a penalty.
Yeah, obviously, he did a jump start, but the stewards reviewed it, but they didn't give a penalty because, well, you guessed it, he didn't leave the starting box. But you would say that a jump start is a jump start, right? But
Yeah.
apparently that wasn't the case for the stewards, so they didn't offer him a nice penalty. But if we look at Raikkonen, he jump started as well, but he was further in front, so he left his box, which caused him to get a penalty. And I think Formula 3 driver Richard Verschoor had the same issue where he did not leave his pit box, but he did get a penalty, in which he did comment also under the F1 post about the breaking news how Vettel did not get a penalty. So mixed feelings about it, but I think a jump start is a jump start, so it should just be a penalty, 5 to 10 seconds, depending on how bad it is.
Don't the driver have to stop at these yellow lines that cross the
Yes.
grid, right? And I think for me, he just left these yellow lines and was 10 centimeters or 20 centimeters in front, and so he gained an advantage. And I think that's worth a penalty.
Yeah, it is, I think, a rule where your wheels, where they touch the ground, I think that's
Yes.
supposed to be between 10 to 20 centimeters in front or behind the line to be like
Okay.
in a good position.
Okay.
Or at least that's what I thought.
Yeah, so it's very controversial, the whole jumpstart thing, if it's not exactly clear if it was a jumpstart or not. It's like you can compare it with, touching the ball with your hand in soccer. There were also some controversial things in the past. But yeah, also we have seen now the Pekos is like doing nothing else than studying F1 rules. But yeah, we already mentioned the Verstappen-Leclerc incident. I think, I, as a Charles Leclerc fan, have to say Leclerc was on fault. You should have let Max a bit more room. But stop crying, man. Get back in your car and drive. I think Leclerc was also understeering, so it was not on purpose, and it was also at a spot where Verstappen's move wouldn't be so clever in the end. So like also saying it's a bit of a racing incident, but it was more Leclerc's fault than Verstappen's. So yeah, in the end, 5-second penalty. It is okay. Can live with that. Who was on fault?
I agree. As a Leclerc fan, Leclerc was on fault. I think it wasn't like a driving mistake. It was more like his mental. I know he thought he could go in there and fill this gap, but as we saw, Hamilton, for example, he backed up and let, was it? I think it was Leclerc, let him drive in front of him, so he wouldn't cause a collision. So Leclerc could have done the same, and they would still be in the race together. And I think that's worth a 5-second penalty. What's even worse after that he didn't pit with his broken car, and that's a dangerous action for me. And his 10-second penalty was, I think, that was the minimum, because he could have hurt the drivers. We saw his end plate when it came off. It hit Lewis Hamilton's mirror, and it just came off. So imagine if this would have hit his helmet. It would be like a Mazda 2009 Hungary accident. And yeah, it was also a little bit of Ferrari's fault, because they didn't let him come in, or they first said, come in, you have broken parts on your car. And then he said like, but it feels good, and he stayed out. And then his, I think on the third or second lap, his end plate came off. So his team said he shouldn't pit. Then his team said he shouldn't pit, and he stayed out for the third lap, which caused even more debris. So I think it was Ferrari's fault as well, and these 10 seconds were a minimum.
Yeah, to jump in shortly, I agree with you. It was Ferrari's fault, of course, because when they say, yeah, your car is damaged, come in, they said like in a way it was like normal damage and like not that that much damage as it was in the end. And I'm like a bit split in half for this, because on one side, I think it's not Leclerc who should have been penalized for it, because I mean, he said the car is fine and he didn't want to go into the pits. And if the driver feels that the car is fine, I don't think that the driver then realizes how much debris he's like letting off, because he's concentrating on his driving. So I think Leclerc didn't knew what's actually going on with his car. The Ferrari knew, and they didn't pit him, although they've said it. Then they have to be like more precise and said, yeah, you have to, and like explain him the situation, because I don't think that the driver who thinks that the car is feeling good is coming in like on his own wish in the first lap to like just let the race happen, although he can fight back in the Ferrari. But I think it was more Ferrari's fault, and I think that Ferrari should have been penalized
Yeah, I
for it
agree.
with a like money penalty. But I don't think it was Leclerc's fault. So 10-second penalty for him was a bit too much, and in the end it cost him 2 important points in the championship, as he then dropped down to P7. But
But I think when they penalized Leclerc, they also penalized Ferrari. So that's like a Leclerc and his racing engineer, and so they all got the 10-second penalty, and with Leclerc dropping back, I think they were all penalized, because how do you want to penalize only the team with a fine or so, 5,000 euros, I don't know, or dollars? I think that wouldn't be appropriate if they just didn't let him in. So I think it was the right decision to give him a 10-second penalty.
okay.
Yeah, obviously, when your team says you have a damaged car, the way they had to put it, I think it was right and it was wrong, because we know Leclerc is kind of sensitive.
Yeah.
So when you say like something is like pretty badly damaged, all I think will happen is that he'll kind of freak out a bit. So that's never good. So they try to put it in like a suggestive way, and he said he was fine for himself. But as you already said, a driver focuses on his driving and not the damage he has. So I think it was also like the fault of the team. Just bring him in if the damage was that bad as they thought it was, or how it was. So rather than like actually saying he has to get in, they left him out, which accumulated a 10-second penalty. Also plus the 5 at the end of the race, which I thought was a bit unfair, how it was after and not in. But that's another thing to talk about. But I think the 10-second penalty was pretty fair, to be honest.
Yeah. So I think it would have been more fair if Leclerc gets like a 5-second penalty for it, and the team gets like a big penalty, because it's the thing of the team to look on the damage, because the drivers are like traveling at such high speeds. You can't like think about the damage car, and as Packard said, Leclerc's like very win focused. Also in the Beyond the Grid podcast, he said, yeah, if he's second, it's like many people would say, yeah, it's a good position, but he will say, yeah, it's bad because I'm first of the losers and I don't want to lose, I want to win. So to tell such a driver that his car is damaged and he has to come in the first lap, like you have damage, come in now, then he says, I'm fine to continue. Every driver would say it, I think, in such a state, and was like not very clear how critical the situation with his damage is. So also we mentioned it before, due to the damage, the mirror of Leclerc nearly came off, and he was holding it while driving through 130R, I think the corner is called, and drove this corner, which is Yeah. Also, they travel with like 3Gs through this corner. So yeah, very impressive stuff. Very, yeah, very, very dangerous stuff. But to like giving it everything to not let the mirror come off was, yeah, amazing to see it. But yeah, in the end it came off, so it was like worth nothing in the end. But yeah, were spectacular pictures. Lap 4 was also another incident between Lando Norris and Alex Albon, where I have to say, in a short way, 100% Alex Albon's fault, because Norris was going for the corner and Albon was like just straight and forcing Norris to contact and forcing Lando off. For me, that was also penalty worthy because it was 100% Alex's fault, and yeah, it was unnecessary.
I think Albon deserves a penalty because he was like 3 car lengths behind Lando Norris and still made a dive bomb, and he just didn't brake enough to make the corner. If Lando Norris wouldn't have been there, I think he would have just cut the corner, because yeah, Lando was like a brake for Albon to still get the corner, and then he was forced off the track. I think that's just an accident, and it was Albon's fault. Yeah, and why the stewards didn't give him a penalty, I don't know why. I think it's okay that the stewards let the drivers drive more, let more accidents through without penalties to make it more interesting. But I think in such cases they could have, they should give penalties.
Yeah. As you guys say, I completely agree. Alex was just getting there for the kill, but he was just too far behind to make a clean move. So he pretty much did a nice torpedo. He sort of succeeded. I don't think Lando was complaining, or at least I don't think so. I think he still got points. So other than that, it was clean enough to not become a penalty. So yeah, nobody was complaining about it either. So I think it was just racing.
Okay. Yeah, LeClerc and Verstappen were touching in the first lap. They were fighting back then. Although Verstappen's fight back, it was ending in lap 15, and yeah, it was a very sad end to the race for him, because I think he would have also fought for some good points for Red Bull. Leclerc was doing moves which were amazing. So also last season, as he was at Sauber, we have seen massive overtakes from him. I still have the overtake on K-Mag in my mind at Russia at the long left-handed, which was just incredible. But in Suzuka, he did like 4 or 5 of these overtakes in this level, which were like, this kid has some real good overtaking stuff to do. So yeah, really impressive fight back. Yeah, Mercedes' strategy was pretty clear for Valtteri Bottas. They wanted to keep him in front, no matter if he finishes in the first or in the second place. But Hamilton was like also forced a bit to stay out longer. Yeah, his tire deck was really high, and then in lap 24, in lap 24 he was complaining about that Valtteri and Vettel are too far. Yeah, I think it's like Lewis Hamilton's complaining stuff. I think Hamilton is like a character with just complaining about tiny things. I don't say it's bad, but it's like it's like obvious that he complains about things which aren't really that that bad. I've lost this race, haven't I, or something. It's like just it's like his driving character, and I think nobody here would say that it is kind of bad, or
No, it's just a little bit annoying to always hear him on the team radio complaining about his strategy and that it wasn't good for him. It's not a bad thing, but it's just...
Yeah, like over the last couple of years, like probably since Nico and him fighting in 2016, like I just find him a real crybaby a lot. Like, if anything is just slightly in favor of Bottas within strategies, race pace, etc., he's like, yeah, but I thought it was all for me, and stuff like that. So, to be honest, I think it's kind of like bad to see someone professional like him be like that. But that's just me. Like, overall, he's a really fast driver, to be honest. It's just that Bottas needs to get the chance sometimes as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And yeah, an example that he's a very good driver. His first two seasons, and in the first one, he just was missing the championship closely, and I think he won it in his sixth race in Formula One in Canada, which was like he rushed through GP2, and yeah, in the second season he was crowned champion then, taking the championship away from Massa. He was sure he has won it, but yeah, that are wonderful stories from the past. Leclerc's fighting back was also really clear when in lap 35 he was sixth already, so like in the top three team range, as we can say that. Lap 42 Hamilton was pitting then, and Bottas was leading the race again after Hamilton led it. Behind Bottas there was Sebastian Vettel, and Hamilton came out behind him, which led onto Hamilton chasing Vettel until the end of the race, but he couldn't get him in the end. But two championship winners, like a 5-time world champion and a 4-time world champion, driving for 10 laps, chasing each other at such a nice track to drive with so many high-speed corners, was just impressive. Really enjoyed that one. How you were feeling about the Hamilton Vettel chase? I think it was high professional stuff, and also you were really getting the feeling that these two have won many things in the past and that they are like not normal drivers.
Yeah, it was a good chase from Hamilton on Vettel. I think it's just the new eras here in the 2010s now, that the cars get less competitive because of their width, or however the dirty era. So imagine this spell being, I don't know, in the 2000s with Hamilton and Vettel chasing each other down. I think that would be even more impressive. And there's also another thing. I think the checkered flag was shown on this screen one lap before. Imagine Lewis Hamilton overtaking Sebastian Vettel on the last lap, and then afterwards the FIA would be saying that the last lap was cancelled.
Yeah, I agree. It would have been really spectacular to see in the last round that I think got cancelled. If I was correct, I didn't see the race. I didn't hear anything else of it.
Yes, it got cancelled afterwards. It was like the checkered flag wasn't waved. It was like just shown everywhere that the race is over. But for example, Gasly's engineer told him keep going, and then in the first corner he crashed Perez out, who then kept his points in the end because the race was officially ended then one lap before it should have ended. If Leclerc, for example, who was pushing for the fastest lap, would have got the fastest lap in the last lap, it would have also been a bit
Lap.
Yeah, lap would have also been a bit shocking for him because it wouldn't have counted. It was a mistake. It was like not somebody staying there, an amateur waving the checkered flag like for fun as we had in the last years. It was
Canada was one of them, I think.
Yeah.
Was it this year or the year
It was
before?
last year. It was
Ah,
last
last
year, and for this year they changed the rules to that the checkered flag waving is only a symbolic sign. The screen right above the lights, that's the only indication that the race is finished. So the checkered flag is waving, but the screen doesn't show the checkered flag. The race isn't ended. But in this case, the screen showed the checkered flag due to some technical issues one lap before, and due to the new regulations, it says that the race was finished, the time when the leader crossed the finish line, the last time when the checkered flag wasn't shown. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, so that was clear then. So obviously, Gasly was told to keep pushing, so he didn't really know, because the view in the cockpit of that Formula One car is actually not that big. Like, I don't know if you've seen like realistic views of it, or maybe if you've been in a real one, but it's not that big. So just try to focus on that. Yeah, it's pretty difficult to just guess. So when your engineer going, I would have done the same to just go for the position. But yes, the crash was unnecessary, to be honest.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but other than that, it was pretty funny to see how people kind of overreacted.
Yeah, it was funny to see. In the end, it was like, side fact, the car's damaged, of course. But they still have points, but Perez kicked his teammate out of the points.
Lance Stroll.
Yeah, Lando Stroll. Hey, I'm Lando Stroll. I'm driving fourth in the F1 from McLaren point. I'm scoring more points than Fernando Alonso did here.
Oh god, banter. Just imagine saying Lando Stroll.
Yeah, I think we're getting under the reserve drivers. Podcast here, because there's like a bit of comedy in here. But yeah, subscribe for more comedy. Yee! Oh my god. Yeah. It was a crash, but in the end, it had nothing to do with the outcome of the race. When you explain it.
Yeah, Racing itself was pretty confused about it. On social media, on Twitter, they posted they wouldn't know where Perez is now, on 9th or disqualify or NF. One thing about Leclerc's pit stop at the end for the fastest lap. The thing is, where was he? He was P6, I guess. And then he pitted for new tires to get the fastest lap, which he didn't. He didn't get the fastest lap. But I think Ferrari just fucked up the strategy again, because they should have known that maybe some penalties would come in after the race. So when they pitted Leclerc, he was only 10 seconds in front of Ricciardo or so. And after the race, with all the penalties, he fell behind Ricciardo. If you didn't pit, he wouldn't have got the fastest lap, but he was still 2 points ahead of what he has got now, if it makes sense. You get what I mean?
I actually do, for a change.
So I don't know why Ferrari pitted Leclerc for fastest lap, because I think they should have known that some sort of penalty would come in after the race. So it would have been more intelligent too.
Yeah, but then to lose 1 point less because of the fastest lap is like a bit, getting it better, because the 1 point of a fastest lap, I mean, when you look back to, I already mentioned it, Hamilton and Massa, some points can change massive things. Although I think this season is like eaten up for Ferrari. I think there were also some rumors that no Ferrari driver can win the world title this year, so it's only a battle between Hamilton and Bottas now. But yeah,
that's true.
For the constructors, the 1 point will make it very nice, and they are still fighting against Verstappen for they are still fighting for third place, and nobody can say who's coming out on top of Verstappen, Vettel, and Leclerc at the end, because it's so close and so intensive and so tight that 1 point, every point is very exactly
Crucial.
Yeah, but as I said, in this situation, with the penalties coming in, even though he would have got the fastest lap after pitting, he would have still had 1 point less than if he would have stayed out and
Yeah,
stayed
but
on P6.
that's like calculation. You are not calculating before there is any penalty. But yeah.
But I hope the strategists do
Nah,
so.
nobody knows that Ferrari this year. Coming on to the driver of the day. Yeah, driver of today. It is very close this time. First of all, I can give you a quick overview on the winners and losers of the Suzuka race. Winners to 100% Mercedes, although they are not a driver. The team did a very good job claiming the Constructors' Championship. Everything done right at Mercedes. A big loser was Robert Kubica, who was also complaining for having a front wing that he didn't want it for the race, as he felt better with another front wing, which wasn't giving advantage in pace, but he felt better with it. Then he crashed in qualifying, so bit of a bad weekend for him. I think also, the biggest low in the season up to this point. Winner, of course, Valtteri Bottas, as the word says it. Mercedes 99th victory in F1 and the 100th career points finish for Valtteri Bottas. So some nice numbers according to this win. So he is ending a run of 4 races without qualifying his team at Hamilton. The start was amazing too. So Valtteri Bottas is a big candidate for driver of the day. Loser, Max Verstappen, crashed out by Leclerc. That was it for his Grand Prix. Winner, again, Sebastian Vettel. Although he was overtaken at the start, he kept Hamilton behind and finished in second. But his teammate is a loser in the Grand Prix, as he is, as he was penalized in the end, and then there was the contact with Verstappen and the debris thing. Also Lando Norris had a bad Grand Prix, as the Alfa Romeos had again, who have a lack of pace after the summer break. Giovinazzi and Raikkonen had very bad races in the last races. I think only the Italian Grand Prix was a bit outstanding. And next to Carlos Sainz, who was finishing in P5 in the end, and I think also is driving the best season, or the most surprising season in the whole grid. He's a big winner. The Japanese fans, of course. I mean, coming to Japan with F1 is always a special thing. You see so many helmets. You see, also some Japanese tradition. Like, the fans are freaking out there. Although there was only 2 days of F1, and on the track there was a Saturday where also the Japanese fans came to their cause by getting autographs, speaking with the drivers. So I think coming to Japan is very nice for F1. To make it short now, driver of the day, I think for me it is Valtteri Bottas, and also Carlos Sainz, because Bottas has done nothing wrong and Sainz has done an impressive job. So either Bottas or Sainz for me. Who's your driver of the day, lads?
I agree with you. Valtteri Bottas did a great job. But also Daniel Ricciardo, who started out of the points and then came in 6th, did a great job. I just watched a YouTube video about his recovery drive, if you want to say it like that. And it was classically Daniel Ricciardo, dive bombs, nice overtakes. So I think he could have also deserves the driver of today reward.
My driver of the day is, to be honest, pretty difficult for me to choose, because there were multiple people that did a really good job, such as Perez, Hulkenberg, Bottas as well for winning again. Uh,
Also,
Yeah.
I think Leclerc did a good job too, because although he was a bit of a loser at the end because of the penalties and the touching and the debris, the overtakes and the comeback he had in the race were really impressive. So that is also a thing which you should keep in mind. So for me, is also a small candidate for the driver of the day. Yeah, shouldn't remember that, not to forget.
yes, exactly. That was exactly what I was like about to say. But if I have to choose, it's probably going to be Bottas, just to be winning again, still being in championship contention.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So our driver of the day, racing or driver of the day, is Valtteri Bottas. I think we are all going to eat porridge next morning, or probably not. Yeah.
There was this rumor or this news about the 2021 regulation changes that I think it was 6 teams wouldn't agree with it with the 2021 changes. And what I can say about that is I would just like the FIA and Formula One to make these rules and then give them to the teams. Other than the teams deciding if the rules were good for them and then having to vote for them and so on. So the Formula One and the FIA give their teams a regulation, and then the teams have to build a car according to these regulations and then compete with each other in 2021. Because otherwise, we will never get to a point if 6 teams disagree. The next time it's 4 disagree, and we'll never come to a point. And the regulations have to be set at October 31st. So I don't know if it would be possible, but I would just like to see the FIA making these rules and then giving it to the teams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously.
Totally agree.
You can't satisfy everyone, so you don't have to like ask everyone nicely. Definitely, because
That
the
doesn't really
FIA
make sense.
doesn't really care a lot, since you see a lot of penalties. Some of them are true, but a couple are false. But you can't satisfy everyone, as I said. So you just have to put down some regulations and build off of it with that.
Yeah, of course, Formula One makes huge profits with Mercedes and Ferrari and Red Bull being in their sport. So if they say like, if we don't get the 2021 regulations, we leave, that is an argument for Formula One to listen to them. But I think that's just the wrong way to get to these rules. So I would hope for future regulation changes that this doesn't happen.
Exactly. That's exactly what I agree
Yeah,
with.
and also it's not only about the top teams; it's also about the teams which are like a bit smaller. Looking onto Haas, apparently they aren't that small, but also Williams, which are also related to their budget. Uh, you should also speak with them because it's better to keep all 10 teams if you say there won't be proper new teams in 2021. So that's like a fight back for campus, and I think there was also another team which wanted to join. Um, it's like a step back in that fact, that you like just say we're like not really giving attention onto you. It's like just rather you agree or you disagree. It's like the wrong way to get on this thing because also new regulations changes means new cars. That also is a thing of money, and small teams would have but who don't have such a big budget can also fall out. So really agree with this point, and really happy that you brought it in. Coming on to the last point of this podcast, Japanese Grand Prix, it is over. And for the next Grand Prix, you can't forget to set your timer. It is a race in it's a race in South America, in Mexico. Lewis Hamilton can claim his 6th World Championship title there. Will be very interesting. But also it's a track where Red Bull has proved to be that they are very strong. How do you feel about the Mexican Grand Prix? who do you think will come out on top in the end?
I don't really know if Red Bull is that strong this season for the Mexican Grand Prix. I can't really say who's going to win, but I have a feeling that it's not gonna be Red Bull. I don't know why. I think it could be Hamilton after not winning, or like he won Russia, but after like a little bit of a bad part of the season. I think Hamilton could come back and then win his driver's title in Mexico.
Yeah, obviously, but then if we look back in the years, Red Bull wasn't the strongest either, but they have 2 back-to-back wins there. So yeah, obviously you could say maybe Red Bull isn't the strongest, but that's because they had an underperforming driver named Gasly in the beginning of the season. No hit intended, by the way, but he just pulled them back a lot. Parts, money, further designing and stuff just pulled them back. So I think they're underrated for what they are at the moment, and I think they can prove that in Mexico again for the 3rd time in a row.
So yeah, I'm like,
Mexico also has,
yeah,
Mexico also has a very long main straight, so Ferrari will have a big advantage.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the only parts where the Ferrari will have an advantage.
Yeah,
Like
straight.
most of the
So-
circuit is more Red Bull biased, sector 2 and 3, for instance,
Yes.
like the ends.
But maybe they will just fuck up the strategy again, and then Hamilton will come out on top. I don't know.
Exactly, unless Bottas still like manages to score points ahead of him.
Yeah. Does somebody know where Hamilton and Bottas have to finish for Hamilton to win the championship?
me neither. Yeah, I also don't know.
Wait,
But I think if he wins it, then I think it's enough. But yeah, don't want to say anything wrong here. The fact is that he can, claim his title there. I think this race is very interesting, as we already mentioned. All 3 top teams have their positive and negatives on this track. All 3 top teams have like the same, chances also. Although Red Bull has not the real astonishing performance as they had shortly before Mexico in the last years, but it's like Mexico, so I think Verstappen can give it a good shot at if there's nothing wrong. And I would also say that I think Verstappen will win in Mexico. Just leaning me out of the window, probably I fail completely with it. But yeah, I think Max Verstappen will rock it at Mexico. Yeah. Is there...
Let's just call it Mexico from now on.
Mexico. It's like... Yeah, it's like me with equal.
yeah, I just looked it up. In the remaining races, Valtteri Bottas has to outscore Lewis Hamilton by 17 points average, which is not gonna happen. So
We can pretty much crown him champion already.
Our new champion,
Damn it.
Lewis Hamilton. What a surprise! So yeah, I think that will be Mexico, although it's Mexico. But yeah, Mercedes will then may probably finish the most successful season since they come back in 2010. Although I'm not a huge Mercedes fan, I have to say the steps from 2010 up to today are amazing. They started with Michael Schumacher and Nico Rosberg, and then Lewis Hamilton came in 2013, and it was such a huge success story, and they really did a great job, which is really impressive. So yeah, I think that's it for today. Massive thanks for watching or listening to this podcast wherever you are at the moment. Leave a like if you have liked the podcast. I think there were some funny parts too. yeah, share it with your friends to give them something good to listen to, not like the average Justin Bieber stuff. And yeah, yeah, comment your wishes for upcoming videos down below. And also, we want to do a Q&A. You can like DM us on Instagram at Racing Or Ping Pong_official. It's also in the video description, or you can type it in the comments down below. I think Pekos, Alpay, and me, we are very excited to read your questions to us. Yeah, we also have a couple of questions for a Q&A in the future. Also on Friday we will record the F2 review for the F2 season, which is ending in Abu Dhabi, but we don't think that there will happen so much in Abu Dhabi that it changes anything, because also Nick de Vries is crowned champion and the most interesting things have happened. It's only interesting who is finishing second, but yeah, there are only 2 candidates. So we think it's also a good time to do it. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And then I would say for me, it's over and out. And also from my guests, you can say goodbye and see you next time.
Goodbye, I'll see you next time. Or maybe not. I don't know if I'm going to be here another time.
Goodbye.
The studio like a student though, working on a movement, yeah, I'll do it cause I'm in the zone. And you know that I'm ready for the shows. How it goes, I don't know, but I'm waiting till I'm chose. Run, roll, here I go. All these people wanna know what you think of them lately. Do you really love me or do you really hate me? On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you grade me?